Good morning, everyone. I'm Quinn Wisson from Vertical Measures, and I'm here hosting VM's monthly webinar series. Today's webinar is titled, Make 2013 Your Best Year Ever by Leveraging 2012 SEO Lessons, and will be presented by our very own Director of Account Development here at Vertical Measures, Kaila Strong. Kaila works directly with our VM clients to evaluate and analyze their overall internet marketing needs and develop strategies and recommendations for successful campaigns. Kaila also oversees the account management team and is a regular writer and contributor to Search Engine Watch. Before we get started and I hand over the presentation to Kaila, I just have a couple of notes. Today's webinar will be recorded and available for you to see by the latest Monday afternoon, if not sooner. We'll also be happy to answer any of your questions, so if you take a peek at your webinar interface, there's a question applet, and that's where you can type in any questions you want to ask Kaila after her presentation. You can also ask us questions via Twitter using the hashtag VMWebinar. Any questions that we don't get to, we'll be sure to try to answer via email. If you're having any technical difficulties with the software, just please try to reconnect. So with my notes complete, I will hand it off to our presenter, Kaila Strong.
All right. Thanks so much, Quinn. I appreciate that. As Quinn said, I am Kaila Strong. I'm the Director of Account Development here at Vertical Measures. I work with our clients to develop a lot of their online strategies. I help to manage the account managers as well, to work on building existing accounts and really working with the clients the best that we can and providing the best results. So a little bit about us. We're an interactive marketing agency here in Phoenix. I've been with Vertical Measures for about 4 years now. Arnie's had to deal with me for quite some time. We work with Fortune 500 clients and small businesses, and we really do love search, social, and content marketing. We are truly passionate about each part of the search, social, and content marketing online campaigns that we develop for our clients. So. And all of our services really do hit on each of these points. So, all right, let's get started. So today we're really going to be talking about what lessons we can learn from the things that have changed in search engine optimization in 2012. Encrypted search by default was rolled out in late 2011, and not provided has been a growing concern for SEOs. Kind of limits us a bit in the ability to truly monitor the results for our clients and figure out what key terms are driving the most traffic. And so that is certainly one area that has been brought to the forefront in 2012. A recent study by Optify shows not provided rate is up 39% of organic visits. 64% of companies see about 30 to 50% of their traffic from Google as not provided. That is definitely a huge area of concern, and so I think it's important to point out that that change in SEO this year and that growing number of data that you're not able to see will require you to make more of an effort in developing a type of campaign that's going to provide you with the best results. Also this year, more Panda updates, the rollout of Penguin and the exact match domain updates as well. Implementation of the REL author markup in search results were introduced this year in 2011, and then went mainstream in 2012. Author rank was brought to the forefront as well and is now, of course, one of those great buzzwords. Google Plus and Pinterest are two social sites that saw massive success this year. Quality of content, of course, has been a focus this year as Google continues to attack spam. So with so many changes, you probably think that success is hopeless or that you can't do it all if you are a small business or you have a limited in-house team, but it really isn't. So let's examine some of the things that have changed in 2012 and look to learn lessons that we can integrate into our 2013 plan. So the first area I want to discuss is Panda. So Panda rolled out in February of 2011. And has had roughly 22 updates since then. So obviously with so many updates, the recent refresh at the end of November included, Google is continuing to tweak this update to focus on web spam. Additionally, duplicate content, weak content, content farms were addressed in the beginning with the update. Sites that saw a significant drop in traffic that coincide with Panda or the rollout of Panda updates should certainly investigate accordingly. Large sites that have many pages, templated content, and lots of subcategories, they're definitely the most at risk. And so it's obviously important to understand truly what the Panda updates were all about, especially if you're continuing to see some drops even after a couple of the updates have taken place. On this next slide, I show each of the 22 different updates that are taking place. Google's not done with Panda. There's certainly still items and tweaks that they need to make to the algorithm to truly serve up the best content and results for searchers, and I think it's never going to go away. So it's very much important to understand what Panda is and how your site has been affected. Additionally, of course, Penguin. So let's examine Penguin a little bit. Debuting in April 24th of this year, Penguin aimed to attack black hat SEO tactics, that frankly have been working for quite a few years, and that many of us in the industry have been utilizing. A couple of the things that, of course, it focuses on: link buying, keyword stuffing, cloaking, over-optimized anchor text, any site-wide links, article marketing, web spam. The list goes on and on and on as far as the items that this particular algorithm update affected. Penguin really changed the game for webmasters. Those that were implementing 2008 types of tactics were largely affected on the initial rollouts. We all know that these things aren't supposed to work, but they were for many, many years. And so with Penguin and then with the continued updates with Panda, we're slowly realizing that, yes, we do need to be more aware of Google's webmaster guidelines and integrate into our inbound marketing campaigns the real true way of attracting links, of providing the right content, and just get all of our ducks in a row that we've known for many years that we've needed to do, but we're always reacting and not being proactive. So 2013 should certainly be the year where you truly do try to prevent some of these issues from happening. So 2 additional Penguin updates rolled out this year, one in the summer and then another one in the fall of this year. It was just a continued tweaking of the algorithm, and it's certainly expected in 2013. As you can see, 22 updates within a little over a year and a half with Panda. So imagine the additional types of updates that we're going to see in 2013 for Penguin. So here you can see those 3 updates and the dates that they affected. The first update affecting about 3.1% of results. The second one not as many, and then 0.3% for the third. Okay, so anytime that there are algorithm updates, you want to analyze what specifically was focused on in that update. Some of the questions that I get from clients sometimes are, what are the difference between the Google Panda and the Google Penguin updates? In essence, this part of this infographic that I got from Reload Media is really helpful. Panda hates thin content farms, high bounce rates. That's really what Panda hates. Penguin hates low-quality links, over-optimized anchor text, and keyword stuffing. Panda aimed to improve search results, and Penguin aimed to penalize questionable SEO tactics. So what lessons can you learn from really diving into those updates and understanding each of the iterations of them? The best offense is a good offense. Staying aware. Read industry blogs like Search Engine Land and Search Engine Watch. What I often will do is just look for tweets. See what the experts are saying about the updates. These publications like Search Engine Watch and Search Engine Land, Search Engine Journal, there's so many of them, ClickV. These publications update their sites as soon as cuts tweets or a webmaster starts complaining about a possible shift in their rankings. Whenever an update's due, you'll be notified if you read these blogs very carefully. Participate in industry forums as well. I can't even tell you how much valuable information I've gotten from just participating in some of those SEO forums that are available. Many SEOs will notify those communities when they see changes, which is one of the great things definitely about our close-knit industry. I think I would caution, though, sometimes in the forums you do get some of the smaller-minded SEOs who are implementing old tactics, and sometimes you end up spending more time just trying to help the newbies than actually finding valuable information. But know when to participate, and then know when to just monitor, audit. Setting up Google Alerts is always helpful for any of those things. Setting up email alerts are all things that you would be able to do to really keep on track and see what kind of offense you have to put together for your online marketing campaign. So to combat Penguin and Panda issues, there's several things that are important. Learn from these areas and develop your 2013 strategies to address the issues. Just because you were penalized or hit doesn't mean, just because you weren't penalized or hit doesn't mean it can't happen in the future. Relevancy is growingly important. Look at link types and anchor text distribution. When you're working with vendors or you're maybe deploying your in-house team, educate them with the importance of relevancy, the anchor text and link type. Inform them and educate them and constantly QC until they get it right. Look to perform a full backlink analysis regularly. It's something that I've suggested to clients is maybe even quarterly or monthly you might need it to determine what the oversaturation of anchor text is and to really find your issues. If you don't know the types of links that are in your backlink portfolio, there's likely a problem. You need to be more on top of it. Have a plan to deal with bad inbound links, which we'll talk a little bit about in future slides, but is of course, very, very much important in trying to make sure that you avoid potential downfalls in the future or react to current decreases in rankings or in traffic. Thick and weak content after you've analyzed the current state of your content. So do a full content analysis. Really put together a strategy, maybe do an audit of your entire site, and try to figure out what that weak content looks like. If you have several pages on your website that literally have no social proof built around them, if they are, a couple hundred words or less, if they don't get much traffic, if the bounce rate is very high, these are all areas that should tell you that you need to thicken your content. Work with your team to develop a way to signal you when that content isn't performing to the best of its abilities. Have all hands on deck, social media, search, social, and content marketing departments deployed to be able to thicken this weak content. Additionally, analyze and thicken regularly as problems are discovered. Develop quality content in 2013 that you can then leverage for natural links. Do your research and find those opportunities. Ask people in the office, ask your customers, ask your salespeople, and see what's the type of content that they're looking for on the website. What do they think is going to draw in links? They might not understand the value that content can have from a link building perspective, so maybe not even throw in the link conversation in there. Just ask them, what do they want to read? What do they want to see? What would they share with their friends? They don't have to understand that, link building is the main focus of that. You know that, but help to develop that quality content that you can leverage for links. All right, so the next update that we want to talk about is the EMD update. So this is the exact match domain update. It was rolled out in September of 2012. It really focused on devaluing sites that previously had benefited from having a website with many keyword phrases in the domain. So it worked well for a long time, but those sites are no longer going to work. I know there are some false positives. There are some instances where this does still work. So if you're looking to try to find the easy way out and want to try it out, by all means go ahead. But in the future, this is only going to be more important, that EMDs are just not going to pass as much value. And it can also be something that is preventing you from taking your rankings to the next level if you have a lot of links on EMD domains. So the loophole was used certainly by many, but the update focused on the low-quality sites. And new sites with poor content or those previously missed by the EMD may get caught. And like I said, there's additionally some false positives that may get released. So, all right. So one of the lessons that you can learn and integrate in your 2013 plan is to look to reduce the EMD links that are pointing to your site. Develop a true link building strategy that utilizes search, social, and content marketing to get you to the top of your rankings. Arnie's book, Arnie Ken, who is the president of Vertical Measures, wrote his book, and it talks completely about the search, social, and content marketing, and this book was put out almost 2 years ago now. These are things that we all know we should be doing, but unfortunately, we are just we're short-sighted a bit and aren't necessarily integrating into our full campaign. 2013 needs to be that year that you finally make that decision that you want to do a full integrated campaign. You don't just want to be reactive, you want to be proactive. Improve your content, as many experts suggest. Sites that have improved their content may regain good rankings after they've fixed on-site issues. If you're in a position where you do own an EMD, look to improve that content, as experts suggest. Review Google's quality guidelines if you've been affected by an EMD update, and then make sure you're not in violation. Domain strength is a huge factor. It's not just about links. So better quality leads to a better site, even if it's an EMD. So if there are any of you on the line who do have EMDs, it's not hopeless. just look to really strengthen your content and tell Google that your EMD is the right site that needs to be ranked. Okay, so one of the other things that happened in 2012 that was brought more to the forefront, this has happened for many, many years, negative SEO efforts that are malicious and unethical SEO tactics done to prevent a competitor from ranking for specific terms or even used to decrease their rankings as a whole and get them penalized by Google. There are often spammy and unnatural links that you didn't execute yourself. Often negative SEO affects sites without anyone knowing it. Also known as Google bombing, negative SEO has been an issue for quite some time, but certainly more mainstream this year. And you know, the online media has picked up negative SEO, especially after the recent updates with Panda and Penguin. In 2012 or in 2013, several of the lessons you can learn from this are, you know, mitigating the negative SEO from affecting your domain. One thing that's been growingly clear in 2012 is that as businesses, you must monitor your backlinks. I can't stress this enough. If you do find that malicious activity is happening, you should hopefully know before it gets too bad. Isolate the bad links and do something about it if you've been affected. If you've experienced a negative impact such as Google warnings or traffic decreases, or even, you know, some search engine ranking decreases, some experts suggest if you aren't seeing any negative effects, you might as well not spend too much of your effort trying to get those links taken down. But strong domains for years have fallen victim to negative SEO and haven't necessarily been affected. Many have had very little impact seen. So if you attract strong links, negative SEO stands less of a chance of affecting you. And if you're in a competitive market, if you know that your competitors are using black hat tactics or they haven't, you know, started drinking the Kool-Aid of search, social, and content marketing, they're going to try and find the easy way out to try to, you know, potentially, you know, put down your website. Now, this is a very rare instance. It could be a black hat SEO that does these negative SEO types of tactics, but you should be aware and make sure that you attract the strong links and that negative SEO stands less of a chance of really affecting you. All right. So the link disavow tool. If you believe your site's ranking is being harmed by low-quality links you do not control, you can ask Google not to take them into account when assessing your site. In some circumstances, incoming links can affect Google's opinion of a page or a site. This particular tool certainly rocked the SEO industry when Cuts announced it at PubCon. Released in October, Google's link disavow tool was shared with webmasters as an additional tool in their arsenal to combat spam. If you've been notified of a manual spam-based action based on unnatural links pointing to your site, the tool can help you address the issue. Google suggests first reaching out to webmasters who are linking to you in bad neighborhoods or using spammy tactics. If, you know, maybe after a few attempts you can't get the links taken down, experts suggest using the disavow tool. Do as much as you can, though, in the interim and in the beginning to remove the problematic links and use the disavow tool as a last resort. You know, I have tried to advise a lot of clients in avoiding use of the disavow tool, trying to use, you know, don't use this as your easy way out. I think even one client had just said, I just want to disavow every single link and start from scratch. I don't think that that's necessarily really a good idea. If you can really truly do a full backlink analysis and evaluate each of the links that you have in your portfolio and determine which ones could be accounting for site-wide drops, or could be page-specific drops, or it could be traffic decreases, or it could be a notice that you received from Google. Having a full account of what your backlink portfolio is and trying to figure out those bad links is the first step. The disavow tool is not that first step. Right, so the lessons that you can learn are certainly, like I said, checking your backlinks often, and use this as a last result. In 2013, look to integrate checking your backlinks into your normal SEO strategy. Perform the analysis. You can get a picture of what's in your portfolio. Ask for links to be taken down that you feel are contributing to issues. If you don't have any issues, you don't necessarily have to get, you know, each of those links taken down. I think that we often will jump to the first conclusion that, you know, even though there's not a problem, I see these bad links and I need to get them taken into account. There are two ways of thinking about that. I think if there are other efforts that you can place your dollars towards that are going to attract more links and and decrease the saturation of those bad links, I would more than likely focus on that more than trying to really, really clean up some of the bad ones. If you haven't been affected, if you have been affected, of course, that needs to be your main goal for the next several months until you get it figured out. Attract better links, of course. Bad links or previous SEO techniques will have less of a chance to harm your site if you have the highest techniques, or if you have the highest possible links pointing to your domain. And this seems easy to state but hard to execute. I certainly get that. A full-scale search, social, and content marketing plan is what's needed to compete today. There is no more easy first-page dominance. You might be able to right now, but I think with continued Penguin and Panda updates, it's only going to get harder. And why would you want to spend all your time, fighting the dragon and really trying to battle it out when you know what it's going to take to attract those better links? You know what it's going to take to address the issues you have. You know that search, social, and content marketing all need to integrate into each other to develop a proper strategy and a proper inbound strategy. Okay. So one of the other things that I want to talk about are some of the social platforms that have really taken off this year, and if you aren't currently using, I would highly suggest developing a social media presence is important not just for the possible SEO implications, but also for referral traffic. So sites like Pinterest and Google Plus are a focus with many brands this year. If you do happen to suffer from negative SEO or ranking decreases, or it could happen in the future, some of these other inbound traffic sources could just save you while you're trying to get your ducks in a row with Google and coming out of a penalty or addressing a traffic drop. On Pinterest, buyers spend more money more often and on more items than any of the top 5 social media sites. That is huge. The number of daily Pinterest users has increased by 145% since just January of this year. That growth is insane. Pinterest generates over 4 times as much revenue per click as Twitter, and 27% more revenue per click than Facebook. And then Pinterest generated more referral traffic for businesses than Google+, YouTube, and LinkedIn combined, and that stats from Shareaholic. These stats tell me that Pinterest is where it's at. I know it's hard for many businesses to really truly understand where they would fit within this niche. I get the excuses, well, it's only female and I sell a product that's just for males, or I don't think that my services company would really fit in with the Pinterest demographic. Then I think you need to go back to the drawing board and find that person in your office, you know who they are, that is using Pinterest, and ask them. Ask them the types of content they see. Ask them to do a little bit of research, or you can even do it yourself. Try to figure out what those ideas are that you can provide, and develop into good images and content that is going to drive that Pinterest-centric traffic. One of the other steps I wanted to share here is Pinterest users spend more time on these sites than Twitter, LinkedIn, and Google Plus combined as well. So these figures are pretty insane. Sure, Facebook at 6.75 hours per month is pretty high, but look at that, an hour and a half on Pinterest, average time visitors spending on the social networking site per month. That's still quite a bit. So if I don't know that I should do this, but I would challenge someone to ask me what type of industry you're working on and give some potential ideas for. Oh no, my computer just shut off. Hey, Quinn. Quinn, are you on the line? Hey, Quinn.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. I can't. Yeah, my computer just restarted. I don't know what's going on. Can you put up the slides for everybody?
Yeah. Sorry,
okay,
everyone. Just give me 1 second, and we'll put that back on. But I've been using Pinterest a lot lately, and I've been seeing all of that referral traffic. I never knew that it was that big of a referrer before now,
It
definitely especially
is.
with that sales conversion, too. That's a crazy thing.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely can be. So,
but I would love to see someone take up your challenge too.
And it's funny because I say that internally too, to some of the AMs, and just saying, I really think we should drive Pinterest. And we've worked with many different companies, and I've suggested potential ideas to clients, even in the law industry, to use Pinterest. I think there's certainly areas that we can use. So. Yeah, I can continue to go. When you get up the slides, just let me know because I have my notes and I don't need to see it.
Okay, I'm just pulling it up, so go
okay,
for it.
Cool. All right. So the next area that I want to talk a little bit about was Google+. So the growth of this social media platform is huge. I know Google is putting a ton of money behind Google+. Google+ is worth noting from 2012, and with over 400 million registered users, 100 million of those active users, content is being uploaded regularly, +1 buttons are being integrated on so many different domains. Impressions are reaching over 5 million daily. Google+ is a social platform to take notice of. It's kind of amazing. 1 million plus sites have added the Google+ button, and 1 million businesses and brand pages were added just within the first 6 months. I know many of you probably realize that the demographic that's using Google+ is largely all of us in the SEO industry. It's a highly concentrated tech male audience. That might not be your true demographic, but I think there are many other benefits to using a Google+ page to get out the word about your business, to have your content +1, to have it cached and indexed pretty quickly when you do send it out on Google+ or +1, a piece of your content. And the fact that REL author tags are very important, which we'll talk about a little bit in the future, is just another way to really encourage your internal team, anyone who writes for your blog, anyone who is writing content on your site, even yourselves, all get a Google profile, an individual Google profile page at the very least, and start using Google+. Okay, so the lesson that we can learn, which would be on the next slide from the Google Plus slide, is
you can see it all right?
Yeah. Oh, okay. You got it? Okay. Cool.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so test out Pinterest and Google+, claim your profiles, develop targeted messaging, integrate social buttons on site. See if the platforms are working for you, and if you aren't currently trying them out, measure the effectiveness. With Pinterest demographic of mostly female users and Google+ is mostly male, you can kind of combine your efforts to effectively attract a wider array of individuals to your site. Claim your profiles and develop that targeted messaging for the specific audiences. And then if you test out the effectiveness of your efforts, you can then look to integrate social buttons on your site and monitor the results throughout your campaign. All right, so the next part that we want to talk about is the REL author tag and author rank. Largely a 2011 initiative, Google began attributing content to its original creator. Since then, the process of attributing has evolved, quite a bit. Standardizations such as the REL author tag have been introduced. With the REL author tag, a website is able to attribute content to the original author of that content. Google essentially rolled this out, to use as a trust signal for both their users and their algorithm. I believe the search patents on this kind of dates back to, I think it's 2005, 2006. They've been working on this for quite some time, and they just rolled it out in 2011. Each of the different areas where you can affect your author rank, Google's already been looking at. They're just looking for you to kind of connect the dots. Google has an agenda around authenticating content. Authorship tags are just one way of authenticating that content. Author rank's a way of associated rank with the content and the authority of the author. The author tag helps to enhance search results by providing the author's picture on the search results page. So as you can imagine, that picture is certainly helpful, and many studies have shown that it actually increases click-through rate. Even competing with the #1 ranking, you can potentially get more traffic than the #1 ranking for a core key term if you have content that's developed by an expert author, where that image is shown, they have built up their author rank, Google knows that that's the best content to rank for on that first page. And, even though it's not a #1 position, it could effectively draw in more traffic than that #1 ranking could. All right, so on the next slide, we have REL author tag and the author rank. In this example, you can see some of the content that I've written showing up in the search results pages that have been primarily attributed to my author name. So by having an author page on each of the sites listed here, there's a little bit of a bio about myself. The use of the REL author tag is on each of these sites, and I think even on a couple of these it might not be, but there is a link to my Google Plus page. So I've taken that first step, and then Next, I have many of these sites listed in my Google Plus page as sites that I actually contribute to. So this process is one of those ways that will get you started properly using the REL author tag. And I've provided a link at the bottom of this slide that will sort of direct you to a blog post on the Vertical Measure site that explains quite a bit more, written by David Gould. I definitely suggest that you look at this. It was written back in 2011, but it is a very precise and concise way of being able to direct you on the best use of the REL author tag, REL me tags as well, and talks a bit about author rank as well. So I would suggest that you take a look at that. Okay, so the next slide we're looking at some of the lessons. Of all the lessons you can learn from 2012, I really feel that authorship is one of the most important. Author rank is slated to be one of the biggest things to hit SEO this year. Start thinking about how you can use content marketing and authorship to gain more awareness about your brand. Start using that REL author tag and use it properly. Start thinking about ways in 2013 to build your own author rank. You can do this in a variety of ways. So one of the things that I will do on occasion is do guest blogging. I'll get more influential authors to comment on my blog posts. You can comment yourself on influential authors' blog posts, and then get your content shared by influential authors. You don't want to do this too excessively. You want to make it appear natural, but just start thinking about those things. Start educating your internal teams to understand what author rank is. Right now, unfortunately, publishers can't have their own author rank. It's isolated to individuals. But I think even as a company that's developing content marketing plans for 2013, and you have a blog or you have a news section, you have somewhere to place this content, proper use of the authorship tag, and then trying to look at the other ways to build your author rank. Google's going to be looking at, how many experts are actually commenting on your post. They can see that information. They can see their potential email address maybe. They might be able to see their name. They're going to see the content of that comment. And then vice versa. If you are an expert or trying to build up your expertise, a natural author who has expertise is going to comment on other people's blogs. I'm not saying go out and spam it. I'm not saying put a keyword in where your name should be or anything like that. I'm just saying try and integrate yourself into the true content, content atmosphere of your industry, and try to effectively utilize that to build up your author rank. And then also, some studies show, like I said before, that the click-through rates for results in the SERPs with authors are clicked on more often and get to a #1 ranking. So mark my words, this certainly will be a growingly important factor in the years to come. And now that you know that it's so important right now, you can get in before many of your competitors do at building up your own author rank. All right, so in the next slide, let's pretty much recap what we've sort of learned. When we're looking to start the new year, think about the lessons you've learned from today's presentation. The best offense is a good offense. Relevancy in your content and link building strategies is certainly key. Perform a backlink analysis on a regular basis, looking for the types of links that are going to potentially cause a penalization or traffic drop or just a negative signal of any kind. Educate your team on what that should be. What should that look like? What are the types of links that should be in your backlink profile? Try to attract those types of links. Understand your backlink portfolio and then work to improve it. Develop a true content marketing strategy that's going to help you attract the best types of links. Do some research. Do some social research. Try to utilize tools. Ask your team. Constantly have that in the forefront of your mind that the true goal is to attract links. If your team doesn't understand that concept, think of it in a different way. What would you want? What do you think your end demographic is going to want to share? What are they going to want to comment on? What are they going to want to look to when they're at multiple stages of the buying cycle? Develop content that's going to address each of their issues. Do your research, map it out, start a content calendar as well. If you're not organized right now, you need to be. Make publishing content an efficient process, and determine how you can integrate search, social, and content marketing into that component. Do your keyword research first, then do some social research and brainstorming for topic ideas, and then get a great writer to write it, get the REL author tag, build up that author's rank, work with your social media team that anytime content's published to get it +1, add it to Pinterest, add it to Facebook, really start to utilize each of the different areas that you have on your team, hopefully, to be able to really get the word out about your content. And then if you want to compete in 2013, it's imperative to your success to have a true content marketing strategy. Pick in your content that needs to be thickened, run tests, and use your analytics to determine what content is the weakest. All right, so the next slide we talk a little bit about preparing for 2012 again. So in 2013, make your focus attracting natural links. Make sure everyone on your team has a thorough understanding of Google's quality guidelines. Have some brown bag lunches, or do a webinar, or maybe create a video that you submit to any new employee and integrate it into their training program. Really make a focus that Google's quality guidelines are what you want as a goal to build up to. It might be right now that you have heavily invested in link building tactics that are 2008-ish. It might be working for you right now, but try to figure out how you can wean yourself off of it. And it might be something that is going to take a while, and it might still be effectively working. But just know, eventually, it's going to come back to bite you. And you don't want to be, reactionary the rest of your career or for the rest of your business. You want to be the best. And so I think it's really time to really look at Google's quality guidelines. Test out Google Plus and Pinterest. Like I said before, monitor your results frequently to determine how effective the platform is for your needs. Take me up on my challenge and ask me for ideas on how you can use Pinterest. What's the type of content that people are going to look at on your site? Implement those Arial author tags and look to build your author rank in 2013. There are many lessons to learn from 2012, and very few of these lessons are anything new. You're probably on the line saying, we already know all of this, but how effectively are you actually implementing them? Make 2013 certainly your best year ever by actually following through on the things that you already know, and use these things to catapult you in 2013 to really, truly get you to the next level. All right, Quinn, do we have any questions?
We do.
Awesome.
We have a few. Kind of hearkening back to the beginning, one of your slides, you talk about the not provided through the Google Analytics. And they're just wondering, what is that all about? Is that because of a certain thing that's just not showing up with the search engines? Or some people have also read articles that maybe this comes through more so when you've done Google AdWords? Or do you have any insight as to what not provided is? Because it really doesn't help any of us.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Google is always thinking about the privacy of the end user, and so what they rolled out was anyone using encrypted search by default. They made encrypted search defaulted. So anytime they believe that someone's signed into their Google profile, it might. I think they've made some changes to that, but initially, when anyone was signed into any Google profile and they did searching and they were still signed in, they're using encrypted search. So encrypted search means that none of that user's data is going to share with Google Analytics or any webmaster. You can't see what the actual keyword phrases are that are driving the most traffic to your site. And Google at the beginning said, oh, this is only going to affect less than 10%, or I think maybe they threw out a number of 15 or 20, but some studies show, like I said at the beginning, some sites are seeing 60% of their traffic showing under not provided. So if you, like for vertical measures, we have a lot of people that search for our key terms, and they're in the industry. They understand privacy. They want privacy. And so they are always using Google encrypted search. And so our percentages are going to be higher than, say, in an industry where you get a lot of traffic from people who are maybe an Internet Explorer. If they're still using Internet Explorer, likely they're not as tech savvy, and so you might not be as affected. But that not provided is certainly something that I deal with it every day. It makes me want to pull my hair out. But at the same time, it just tells me that there are other ways to look at it to an extent. In Google Webmaster Tools, get super familiar with Google Webmaster Tools and see the impressions on certain keyword phrases. Try to whittle down what the true traffic is that's being driven to your site by pairing Google Analytics with Google Webmaster Tools. And then it just really drives home that you shouldn't be focusing on exact match phrases. We don't want exact match phrases in our backlink portfolio. We need to look at a whole entire holistic plan and look at long tail phrases, short tail phrases, and try to integrate each of those things into our marketing plans and not just focus on one key term, unfortunately.
Okay, great. Thanks for breaking that down. It's always kind of scary to see that percentage come up for not provided, so that makes a little bit more sense. We do have a question since we're talking about kind of reporting and analyzing success. What are your thoughts on measuring SEO success moving forward into 2013? Has anything changed, or is it still evolving, or kind of what do you think about success measurements moving forward?
Sure. So I think it can't be necessarily isolated to just, how are my referrals from Google doing, or how is my organic search doing? I think now it's truly a search social content marketing game. And so, the analysis makes it a bit harder, but you have to dive deeper into Google Analytics. You can't just look at what are the major keyword phrases that are driving the most traffic for me, and how are people finding me, what phrases are they using, and then how can I shove more money at those keyword phrases. You have to look at the referral traffic. How are users getting to you? What is your biggest lead source, and what's the most effective lead source for you? Don't pillar yourself and just isolate yourself to one type of marketing. If you're just using PPC, or if you're just using organic SEO, you're kind of missing the game and you're missing the boat. And so I think, as Google has changed their algorithms, they're forcing us to do search, social, and content marketing. You need effective content on your site that's going to draw in users, and it's going to, effectively upsell them or make them to change from a prospect into a customer. Additionally, you need to drive that traffic there. So how are you going to do that? You're going to do it from, optimizing your website for search engines, but then also using social platforms. You need social proof around your content to start to get it to rank. You need to use the REL author tag. You need to do all of those different things. And you want to measure the results by looking at Google Analytics. You want to measure the effectiveness of your content in Google Analytics or whatever analytics program you're looking at. You want to look at the, the refers, the organic, how your paid search is doing, looking at the e-commerce section of Google Analytics if you sell products on your site. Getting very, very, very familiar with Google Webmaster Tools and then analyzing that. And then any of the social profiles that you're using, if there are analytics, look at that and start analyzing it on a regular basis. Facebook Insights is a really great one. And start niche analytics, looking at each of your channel marketing partners and trying to find the effectiveness of each of the campaigns as a whole.
Thanks, Kaila. And I think our last question, since you were up for the challenge, we did have someone ask about a specific Pinterest account. And I know you talked a lot about it and how, some companies come to you and they say, we just don't know how to use this, and we're just not sure how we can even get any type of interest to our industry through Pinterest. So our question is actually through Twitter, and it's from Andrew Webb. And his question is, what ideas would you have for a Pinterest account for an air conditioning company? So I'm going to put it up to you, put you on the spot, and see how you can maybe let us know how more industries can use Pinterest.
Yeah, the HVAC industry is huge, especially, here in Phoenix. We, in the summer, see 120-degree summers at some point, and so inevitably an AC is going to break down. I think it's trying to find the questions and the content that people are looking for around, that problem of not having an AC, or winterizing their air conditioner, or upgrading their air conditioner, or how many air conditioners should they have per square footage. What are the things to look for when you have an air conditioner that might be faulty, or my air conditioner is leaking. So all those things are content that you can create. So an awesome social graphic that just breaks it down. What do I need? Winterization tips for your air conditioner. So right now, obviously, that's really important. If you're in an area where it's below freezing temperatures, an AC unit that's not winterized is potentially going to break. The interior units could freeze, or you might need that compressor unit might be bad, or something like that. I was in property management for a while, so maybe I know more than
I was wondering
about it. But the winterization part was huge, and especially with renters. And so I think, creating that social graphic type of content, something you can put in graphical form and share with those stay-at-home moms who are on Pinterest, who are going to want to share it. One of the really great things on Pinterest that I see all the time are those little-known things. So there might be something really weird, or something that one of those service tech professionals knows is a quick fix to fix an issue. it might not be something that's going to be a quick fix and it's going to solve the problem, but it'll be something temporary. Imagine all those stay-at-home moms who are going to want to fix it right away when there's a leaky unit, and then they'll call the professional. So if you can provide that content that they can share, that's going to help that issue, then great. With the winterization tips, if it's just, there's quite a few things you need to do with an AC unit to winterize, and so I think if you create that, they might see this is too much work for me, and then they'll want to go to your site and actually have your company go out to them. So those are just a couple quick ideas.
Great. Well, you definitely met the challenge, especially with some of the technical jargon, which I would have no idea about. So it is possible. You can do it for all different types of industries, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think that's all the time we have for questions, but I want to thank you, Kaila. Thanks for giving us all this great information and giving us something to look forward to in 2013. And thanks for joining everyone. Yeah, it was great. And thanks from Vertical Measures, but please mark your calendar for our next webinar. It's January 10th. It's 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we're going to have a special guest presenter, Chris Saget. He's the founder of Exact Target and also Compendium now. And he'll be talking about how content is data and how you can start measuring content, leveraging it, and repurposing it to really find more success in your internet marketing. So again, thanks everyone. Our registration is open for that. You can check it out at verticalmeasures.com/webinar, and I hope to see you then. Everyone, have a great day, and thanks for listening.